done with Agastya is fantastic. How can you scale it? And sort of related to that is, how do we get this amazing audience here be involved with your work?
Yeah, in terms of scaling, look, we touch 1 million children a year. That's quite a lot. Having said that, one of our objectives is to get the government to adopt and adapt our learning methodologies. The good news is the Karnataka government has embarked on a huge project, and they've asked us to do it. It's a 100 crore project to replicate our model across Karnataka. Dr. Kalam is involved with us. He's introduced me to Nitish Kumar, and we are in the process of seeing if we can do the whole thing in Bihar. And I was a member of the Prime Minister's Knowledge Commission, and they asked me to make a presentation on how this could be scaled up across India, which I did. So the idea is eminently scalable. Now, whether Agastya should be doing all of this all across India or not is a different question.
Almost like a franchising, are you thinking?
Yeah, and at that scale, I told them we'll need to hire 50,000 people. It'll cost $3 billion over 10 years. And India will change in a way we can't imagine in terms of awakening the creative spark at the grassroots. So this has to be done then as a mission reporting to the Prime Minister's office, rather like what Petroda did back in the 80s with the CDOT and so on. And if India takes it on, it may happen, then you're going to see a huge scale up. So, I'm less concerned about Agastya being there 20 years down the road. More important is the ideas should be sustainable. Absolutely. And should infect the system.
Absolutely. And how do you think the audience here can play a role in that?
Well, we've gained a lot in 2 or 3 different ways. People have contributed ideas. We've developed some 600-700 science models, low-cost models. A lot of people have come from outside Agastya and said, I've got an idea for you to do this or do that. I was talking to Raj Nair earlier about, can he do some free consulting for us in helping the team think more strategically, taking Agastya global. So there's the whole intellectual capital side. And secondly, help financially. We get a lot of money from government, not as grants, but government contracts with us, so it's a genuine revenue stream. And we also get money in philanthropy. We got, luckily, a couple of billionaires, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Deshpande, and a few others who believe in the proposition involved. But we'd like to really diversify our funding sources. So ideas, money, out-of-the-box ideas in particular. I guess no different from any other company.
Great, thank you. Anshu, a fellow feminist, which I absolutely love. You talked a little bit about the whole notion of volunteerism. Each one of us have a duty, right, to give back. How do we do that with the work that you're doing at Gunj, and how, once again, can the audience here be a part of it?
A couple of things. One is that we have to move out of this entire useless debate of either or, where you keep talking about business entrepreneurship versus social entrepreneurship and all. I personally feel in a country like India, you have a space for every single player. So whatever good model is working, let that model work. Don't interfere in that. Let's be honest about it, because it's very easy to say philanthropy does not work, NGOs don't work and all that. That's fine, but if you see the history, you will find absolutely wonderful work happening on various fronts. I mean, if Mother Teresa does some charity, you give Nobel. If someone else tries to do something, you say it's not done. So let's not have these double standards for sure. Number 2, very important, if you really want to volunteer, the most important part in India is the positioning of the development sector. We have no rights to look down to the development sector. The logic is always for not doing something. Doers never look for a logic. So if you say that NGOs are corrupt, I object. I always tell people that institutions are not corrupt, people are corrupt. So if that same person goes to politics, he becomes Raja. If that person goes to corporate sector, he becomes Raju. If he wears 2 heads, he becomes Reddy. So it's all about Raja Raju Reddy. This Raja Raju Reddy, even if they sell bhindi in market, they will do corruption. Let's have trust on the voluntary sector. Gunj can become for profit any day because whole lot of models, different models, but anybody who works with wastage sell a part of wastage or a large part of wastage to become sustainable. We can always sell 10% of our material to take care of remaining 90%. We do not want to do that. That's like FD in our bank somewhere. We want people to take ownership. We want people to become a part of these kind of. That's the whole idea.
So, Anshu, what would you suggest? If they wanted to be part of this movement, what should they do?
I again tell you that start looking at the non-ideas. That's most important. You know, one thing I need to tell you. 100 rupees or 1000 rupees to an absolutely new initiative, 10,000 rupees to Goonj and 1 lakh rupees to a larger organization has the same value. No one gives this 100 rupees or 1000 rupees. That's the big problem. We also, we had no background. I mean, today you talk about vision and all as Sanjeev also spoke about. I have studied in Hindi medium, maybe in that particular time, because I used to move with my father to the border area. My father was with MES and studied in Hindi medium also for some time. Maybe that time I didn't even know the spelling of Bhatapur when we started all this. But no one was putting trust on us, even today. 300 plus corporates work with us to collect material. No one wants to work on the money. You send a proposal, now we don't. Earlier we used to send it. Every single funding agency will say it does not fall in our parameter. You basically run an awareness walk for something, you will give money for jackets and caps. You talk about basic issue of clothing, you say it does not fall in our parameter. What is important for us, is that not important for the other people? That's where this lens has to change and then become a part of it. Please start looking at non-issues, smaller initiatives, which are, where the funding agencies are not going to touch those kind of untouchable people. Simple.
Absolutely, and I think that's again the innovation of thinking, right? Shukla, as the only IIM graduate here on the group, I think there was a question here. Do you think that IIM grads do enough for philanthropy? Is there a sense that there is too much greed with not enough being done for the social sector by us who have very high disposable incomes? How would you comment on that? And then it's a very good segue to involve the audience in your work.
Okay. Most importantly, we started Parikrama not only to run schools, but to also change mindsets of people. Because we began with the idea that it's terribly, grossly unfair that we send our children to the best schools possible, and we are quite okay, the poor children going to schools that we would never send our children to. And we therefore needed to lift the quality of schools in general. So we talk about equal education therefore. And who better than IIM graduates who will understand what quality education is? And they can play a very significant role in it. While we have a lot of people, and I agree with Ramji, offering ideas, and ideas are most welcome because it also helps us to look outside and not be inward looking. But we need money. If we have to deliver quality, if we have to send more and more children to college and compete on equal terms with kids from our homes, we need to get good teachers, pay them good salaries, and we cannot depend on volunteers for that. So to get good education, to get good people working with us, we also need to spend money. And who better than IIM graduates who can understand that? So we are already working with many IIM graduates, alumni. I have to say that I have some great supporters in this room itself. We have IIM Bangalore alumni 95, 96, 97, 2001 that are actually supporting classes and branding it as the alumni batch of that year. And that is giving us great financial support because it gives us relief of, out of the 1,375 children, it gives us relief of 120 children that is being taken care of by IIM graduates. My dream is that of all the schools, at least one school will be entirely supported by IIM alumni. And I'll be happily call it the IIM Parikrama Center for Learning.
Let's hope that wish comes true. Can we go back to the questions again that was in the screen, because there was one question I wanted to ask Saurabh. Can you put it back? Okay, it's gone. All right. Okay. Here. The one at the bottom left corner. So, Saurabh, this is for you. Given someone, obviously, who is, running a new company, growing it. Typically, what percentage of your work effort is to find funding, and what percentage in delivering your goods and services? Is the difference for different or of you? Oh, okay. Well, why don't you just answer it, because we don't have enough time. So why don't you answer it vis-a-vis Milan?
Well, so we have a very different approach. What we do is, we are raising loans all the time, so that's our sales. And we don't touch that money to fund our operating expenditures. And we have a separate company which raises equity investment to fund the staff, the salaries, and the infrastructure of the website and everything. So for us, raising equity investment is basically a very small percentage, probably 10% of our time, and that's a one-time activity. Of course, what we are doing the rest of the time, 90%, is raising loans all the time, and that is the main sales. And what we hope to achieve is that once we hit a loan book of around $4 million to $4.5 million, that's when we become sustainable ourselves, and then we don't have to spend any more time on raising funds for our organization, which is the big idea.
Which is, as an entrepreneur, you always look for that day, right? Great. Well, I think just to wrap up, I think one of the things that came up very clearly from this amazing panel is the fact that we are all working towards basically giving opportunity. We are working towards creating equity in the society, and it'll be fantastic to have all of you be involved with our work. So please join me in thanking this amazing panel.